Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. And today we have a very special episode, a bonus episode actually. And I have an amazing guest with me today. We're going to talk about boosting your profit, the 3 or maybe 10 levers you can pull to boost your profit as a small business owner. And I have an amazing guest. I was just on her podcast, so we'll link all that down below. But Marcia Riner, aka the Profit Booster, is here with me. Welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Awesome, thanks, Brandon. And I love the idea of bite-sized, ideas, because we're in this like time where it's like, okay, let me just take a little nugget and do that because we're so short in our time that, we have or want to spend on things. So I love these little bite-sized ideas.
Yes, it's that. And we also have an obesity problem in this country. So we need bite-sized podcasts.
Exactly.
Good thing, though, you're not going to gain any weight by listening to this podcast. As a matter of fact, actually, maybe you will, because you're going to have a boatload more money in your pocket and you can go spend it on whatever food you want.
But, I love it.
Marcia, I'm excited to jump in. I did say this was a bonus episode, and that's very true. I am in the middle of a 2-month recording break. We had such a surplus of episodes, doing them daily even, that I was like, I have to pause. A guest can't be waiting 4 months to record their episodes. But every now and then you meet somebody who's just so next level and their topic is so out of this world that you have to record and you have to put it in the lineup. So I am honored to have this episode with you, and I'm excited to dive in. So I want to hear a little bit about what you do and what are these profit boosting levers that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. And wow, talk about giving me, high hopes, right?
No pressure, right?
You boosted my image as well. So thank you so much. So yeah, my company is called Infinite Profit, and I help growth-minded business owners to do really 2 things with a third benefit: increase revenue, drive growth, so that someday you can recapture that investment of blood, sweat, tears, nights, weekends, whole lot of your savings, your lifetime that you all put into your business, and you can sell it sometime in the future and get a maximum value for it. There's so many businesses that just end up on the floor and the doors close and, without really thought of, I could have done something years before, or even when I started and opened a business that would allow me to sell my company sometime in the future. So that's kind of the driver behind what I do.
Yeah, it's so true. It's beyond unfortunate, but that was part of the reason I started this show, because I saw all those businesses out there just confused and maybe listening to wrong advice, the wrong people, and they end up having to close or lay off people. And I said, you know what? I just want to put on a show that's fun. First and foremost, we got to have fun, but then also with really reliable information that can give people that beacon of hope in the times that they need it, and also the really good information too. So I have to know, though, when you're working with businesses, where do you typically find people in, I guess, in the range of profitability? Like, why are they seeking you out? What's going on with their profitability?
Well, they've hit a ceiling, right? The common growth factors that you talk about too, they've hit the ceiling. It's probably, again, around $1 million in revenue that they've hit this wall. And truly what got them there can't get them to move forward in their current model. So my customers are already in momentum. They're, I'm not going to make the cash register ring for the first time. But once they're in that momentum phase of their business and they've seen some success, they forget about a lot of little tweaks that they can do in their business. And so they're looking and they're struggling. They're trying to add more. Let's just do one more call. Let's just add one more product. Let's just hire one more person. And that's not always the right effect, which is kind of similar to the song that you sing. But really, truly, what they can do is take a step back and look at these little levers that they can pull and make minor incremental changes in what they're doing so that they can benefit more from their company. And I think that's what really surprised me in the years that I've been doing this is that business owners go, change, or their employees go, change, we're not going to do it. Change is not good. But change is necessary. And if you can do it in your bite-sized pieces, then it's not as painful. It doesn't add that extra weight. It doesn't cause the stress. And the momentum starts to change and they start to get better, bigger, better, faster, stronger, lighter, whatever the adjective we're going to use on it. But those little incremental changes can truly shift the company and improve their bottom line.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And there's 10 levers that you speak about. We don't have time for all 10 today. I do want to clear a few things up for the audience, though. You said that I sing, and I want to be very clear. There's one thing that I can't do for sure. I cannot sing any songs, hence I'm hosting a podcast.
No, you can sing. You just don't want to have everybody hear you sing, or they start to cry and the dog starts to howl, and
Good clarification. My kids even yell at me to stop singing. So yeah, we're not going to go down that road. But we do want to let's hear about some of these levers. Let's go with the big three. What are some things that business owners can do, like immediately after? You have to finish the whole episode, but after they hear the episode and leave a comment and subscribe, what then can they do to start increasing profit in their business?
You know what? And I'm going to say this with just a little bit of warning that my strategies are not sexy. They're not super cool. We're not flipping an AI switch. We're not doing all those crazy new fantastical things that you got to do to jump on a bandwagon. However, as you mentioned, you can make your life sexy afterwards because you did these, right? But so there's the fun in it. So yeah, these are not sexy. They're very foundational, but they're often forgotten. So I think the first step, and people are going to start to cringe in it, is to really look at your spending habits, right? I tried to coin years ago with my first book, Big Profit Secrets Exposed, was, income minus expenses equals profit. Duh, right? So if you want more profit, you either have to increase your income or you have to manage your expenses. So if we look at the managing of your expenses, there are 3 things that you want to ask yourself when reviewing. Yes, you should be reviewing your expenses on a frequent basis. You want to ask yourself, does this expense produce a customer? Does this expense keep a customer? Or does this increase the lifetime value of that customer? And if you can answer yes to one or preferably all 3, then you should keep the expense. If it doesn't, you may want to kick it to the curb for a little while because, a lot of and I'm not beating up tax professionals because I love my CPAs out there, but they're often looking backwards. How can we get you a tax break? Let's run your entire lifestyle through your business. Therefore, you can write it off. Yes, but it affects your profitability. So if you do that, then you may want to consider reducing your payroll to yourself if you're going to do that. So I think that when you're looking at the amount of money you spend, be very frugal in your business and your bottom line will improve dramatically. So that's the first one that I think is just like, it's a killer. And I even have and have done in the past a little 30-day program with my customers that I call it the 30-day profit booster, where we will look at your cost of goods sold. Even if you're a service production, you have cost of goods sold, your operating expenses, which people forget. They still have to pay rent and lights and utilities, and they've got a receptionist or whatever those expenses are. And then the third little sneaky trigger is your pricing strategy. When was the last time you increased your price? Shh. People don't want to say it. No, my clients will run away. Nobody will buy from me ever again if I increase my price. Wait a minute. Are your prices going up? Is inflation gone up? Do your employees want to be paid more? You have to increase your price. It's expected. And if you do it in a incremental change, your customers, for the most part, will stay with you, especially if you're adding tremendous value for your price. Okay.
Yeah, that's always I'll say a tough conversation. That one I think incites a lot of emotion more than the F word you said before, frugal. I will say this, frugal and sexy I've never heard in the same sentence. So you nailed that one. But I always say boring is sexy, because doing the boring stuff, I mean, as from the operational side of things as a COO, like, you have to do the boring or else you can never get to the sexy. That's the whole, and you said the same exact thing. So I want to get your feedback on something before we jump to lever number 2. This is a hack that I've always used. So managing expenses is super boring. You're right. Like, I agree with you 100%.
Poke me in the eye.
But one of the ways that I've always gotten around that is I love putting things on credit cards because I love points and miles and all those beautiful things. Please use your credit cards responsibly.
I was just going to say, pay it off.
Pay it off, but you can use your credit cards. But one of the things I always did, and I still do to this day, both personal and with business cards, I report them lost or stolen once a year, because the monthly expenses, like, really easy to review. But on a yearly basis, sometimes you don't know, and you could have $1,000+ subscription that didn't hit in the last 3 months, and you won't know about it. And they're surprise. So how do you feel about that little hack?
I love it. And there are many business style credit cards, and we won't name them here, that will actually give you a report at the end of the month and categorize how you spent it. And therefore, it transitions very nicely and easily into your accounting software. And then it's documented. So now you know that this was a business lunch, this was a subscription, this was gas, this was, food, all those things, supplies. You can really categorize it. So it makes it very helpful. So I love that. I don't know that I want to cancel my credit card every year, but I think that's an interesting viewpoint.
Not cancel, because I know that would impact your credit. Just
Not cancel, but report the card lost and get a new fresh card, because those subscriptions, like you said. Okay. So who's signed up for a gym and never went?
I will say, not me, but I know
Not
maybe
me. I
a couple
go.
people.
Yes. They're like, hey, Marcia, every time I walk in, right? But yeah, those are things that hang on and you forget about. There's a commercial on TV, and the girl said, yeah, I paid for 2 Netflix accounts for 3 years. And I went, oh, okay.
Brilliant.
Talk about forgetting, right?
I love it. All right. So that was number 1. It was not sexy, as we were warned, though. What is lever number 2 that we should do?
Actually, it was lever number 1 and 2. So the pricing strategy was lever number 2. The cost management was lever number 1. And that pricing strategy really, just to kind of fill it out a little bit more, is really saying, what value do you provide your customer? And if you look at it at that viewpoint, it becomes no longer a race to the bottom or competing with an Amazon or Walmart kind of environment. It's saying, I'm giving you so much value, and the value is transitioning into solving this financial problem for you, or this problem for you that's worth this amount. Then if I come in and say, okay, I'm providing $1,000 worth of value, round numbers, every month in things that I do, and the customer's benefit is $2,000 in net savings or freedom of time or solving these problems with employees or whatever it is that you do. You saved me $2,000 by fixing my plumbing, right? Now I don't have to get a new, pipes and toilet. So whatever that value is that you provided them, you can now come in and say, okay, my competitors charge $100. Well, I think for everything I'm doing, I could actually get away with $150 because of all the value I'm charging or providing. That's how you start to look at your pricing, not as what the competition is and go down $5. And the worst thing you can ever do is go, hey, my stuff's on sale, 20% off today. Well, 20% off is not 20% reduction. It's even more than that when you look at the numbers and how they pan out, because you still have operating costs, you still have cost of goods sold. So that price is really affected a lot more. So looking at your pricing strategy and ideally increasing your price to what you're truly worth and to a point where your customer says, yeah, okay, I could go this way, but I think for everything you're offering and the benefit that I'm getting, maybe it's you're just showing up on time, right? I'm willing to pay that because that's what I want.
Yeah, I've heard, I don't know who said it or who originally said it, but I've heard the saying, there's no benefit in being the second most expensive. There's only a benefit in being the most expensive and the cheapest. I don't recommend that
I
for
think that
either.
was Dan Kennedy, but I may be wrong.
We'll give it to Dan Kennedy. Thank you, Dan,
Yeah,
for using that.
I agree. I agree. There's no benefit for being the second lowest price, or the second highest price. So you might as well be what you think you're worth and add value and solve their problem. People are willing to pay for convenience, for solving their problem. I mean, look at that. You're willing to pay for Amazon a monthly fee so you can get your stuff that day or the next day, and you would rather pay Amazon the extra fees than going directly to the consumer and waiting a week and a half to get your product, or getting in your car and go picking it up.
Oh, God forbid we have to leave our homes. It's crazy. Yeah, I agree with you. Yet most business owners do use the previous strategy you mentioned, which is, what is the
Race to the
competitors?
bottom.
Cut it by $5 or
Yep.
some version of that. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And it's terrible.
Look
And
at
it
that.
really, truly, truly, truly affects your bottom line in ways that you have no idea unless you run the numbers. And I'm sorry to say, your accountant and your tax professionals are not running your numbers. That's on your shoulders, business owner. So if you don't know how to do it, there are great ways to figure out how to do it. There's Google, there's hiring people like yourself or myself to help you be able to see what's truly going on in your business and understanding that so you can get the results that you're looking to achieve.
Yeah. Amen. I want to get to lever number 3, but before we get there, you have a really cool tool that the listeners can use. Would you mind sharing what that is real quick before we jump over to lever 3?
Absolutely. Talking about AI, I'm dating currently Chad GPT.
I
So
call him
I've
Chad
been,
too. That's so
I
funny.
am, right? I mean, he knows me so well and he's helped me so greatly. It's the best virtual assistant I've ever seen, to do the things that I want him to do. But Chad helped me create a calculator. And this is a business profitability calculator that is a private GPT. So I created it inside of Chad. And so it's super simple. If you just go to boostingprofit.com/calculator, there's a free calculator that all that information in there, and I say it on the front page, is 1,000% private. I don't see any of your data. I just know that you went there. But what it's going to do, it's going to help you figure out how profitable you truly are. And when you see that, then you can go, oh, wait a minute, right? Now I can start making better decisions. So it's a fun tool. I played with it. It's great. It gives you answers immediately. You put in a couple of different factors that you should know. And if you go to boostingprofit.com/calculator, you can play with that.
I literally just entered my email as you were talking about it, because that blows my mind that it's a custom GPT. So that's super cool. For those of you
Right.
listening, also go over there. But again, after the episode, we're not done yet. We have one more lever.
That's right.
So Marcia, this has been fantastic. But I want to know, what is the third thing? You covered 2. I mean, I think massive issues or potential leverage points, we'll call them. I don't know, but ways to boost our profits in our businesses. What's that third one? And then for the other 7, you're going to have to go look at the show notes down below, and go check out Marcia's resources and books. But what's number 3?
Well, actually, if you go ahead and do the calculator, when we get off the line, I'm going to add it into a follow-up sequence, and I'm going to give you all 10 levers after you do the calculator.
Perfect.
So
Look at that. Just for listening to this show. Why aren't you subscribed yet?
value. Absolutely, you should be subscribing. And my goodness, you need to give Harmonious at Lunch a 5-star review on any of your podcast players that you listen to on a regular basis, because if you're listening, chances are someone might not be listening. And if you go, hey, this was great, you're going to bring other listeners over.
She said it, not me. So please listen to her.
Exactly. Okay, so number 3 is really hard because I've got like 10 to choose from. But I think, when I go back to my original book, right, and talking about the income minus expenses equals profitability, right? We talked about the expenses. We talked about the pricing income. But what's the biggest problem that almost every businesses face every day, right? Leads. They're looking for more leads. So I think what you can do is have clarity in your marketing strategy. And that marketing strategy has to be specific, right? We use that word niche to your audience's problem. So now if you look back and you go, hey, if I'm talking to you, John, you're listening to this podcast, and I say something and it sounds like I'm reading your mind, then chances are, John, you're my ideal customer. And if I can continue with that mind reading conversation to you, talking about the problems that you're facing right now, and that I have a solution for it. And if I make it super simple and super easy for you to come check me out and experience the quick solving of that first problem, because we know we have more than one problem, right? And if I can solve that problem for you in a very easy way, with one simple way, you're going to go, I like what Marcia said. I bet she has more ideas. So the lever number 3 that you can pull is to create a one-off kind of marketing idea, kind of like a lead magnet or a free download that solves your ideal customer's number 1 problem, solves it, literally solves that problem, and it's something that they can execute on their own. Then what you're doing is you're bringing somebody of interest into your space. They may not buy today, because we all know that 97% of the people out there are still going through their buyer's journey. So they may not buy today, but you bring them into your world and you can nurture on them and help them through their buyer's journey later on. So I would encourage you, that real quick little lever is to increase and provide a marketing solution to your ideal customer that solves one of their immediate problems. And I tell you, it's gangbusters, because they fall in love with you and they want more. It's crack. That's what we're doing. We're dealing drugs here. We're dealing solution-based business solution drugs of sort by giving them and solving their problem.
And you know what? I always joke that drug dealers have one of the best business models. They let you sample for free, and tell me they don't have the best recurring revenue stream ever. They have the most repeat business. I'm just going to put that out there. So
yeah, we're not promoting drugs by any means, but it is an analogy, as you just mentioned, that if you give them a taste, you solve the problem. You've provided tremendous value. They are now sitting back in their chair going, that was awesome. I would like some more of that. Marcia, what do you do? Brandon, what else do you got? Right? You want free fries with that?
Keep that crack flowing.
Right? So little things. Now, remember, I'm not telling you to change your whole business model. I'm not telling you to stand on your head or go fly airplanes around with a streamer behind it. These are little ittle bitty things that you can do and add or change to your business model that will dramatically increase your profitability.
I love it. Marcia, this is so fantastic. Besides the profit boosting calculator, anywhere else the listeners should go to check you out? Besides, also, let me add this in. Your podcast, which I was on, that episode will be linked down below. But where else should the listeners go check you out?
So my podcast is called Profit with a Plan. 5.5 years going. Just love this podcast platform. Just really makes me happy. But you can find me. I'm always on social media talking about increasing revenue and driving growth so you can eventually sell your company. You can find me at Marcia Riner on any of the social platforms except for like TikTok and whatever the X thing is now, but the traditional ones. And I'm always adding value. So I try to add and give you ideas, get you thinking differently outside the box so that you can go, wow, I like the way she thinks. What else does she have that can help me?
I love it. This is awesome. All of those links down below. Marcia, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for having me on your show. And listeners, did I drop the ball? No, we delivered. This is why she was a bonus episode. This is why we had to put it in the lineup immediately, because this is the kind of stuff that's going to get the stress off your shoulders. That's what we want. If you run a more profitable business, you don't have that financial stress. You can make better decisions. And she said she's not going to change your business model, but I will, because we want you to work less and have less stress and make more money all at the same time. So thank you for being here. Marcia gave you all the instructions. Go leave a review, go subscribe, go leave a comment, come back for more tomorrow. I can't wait to see you there. Thanks for listening to Harmonious at Lunch. We'll see you on